Doesn't it look good? Good news is I'll be eating Pollo Campero on the show tomorrow, so I'm very excited about that. In a moment, you'll be able to see my face and not this wonderful chicken, but if you'd like, we can just kind of keep it the same way with the chicken and not my face. Hey, it's cold. I'm freezing. It's frigid here in Dallas. What up, everybody? I'm Ari Temkin, and this is Showtime on Phantom. Phantom is putting you at the center of the Dallas sports discussion, and as we do, it's really starting this week, but as we do all day, all the time, not all day, all the time. I'm not doing that intro slide anymore with the countdown. Instead, I'm just going to be here on camera doing all the normal countdown pre-show stuff that I do. In this case, though, I'm going to be popping around the chicken, that wonderful, amazing chicken that I can't wait to eat from Pollo Campero. Jennifer Munholland. Hey, Troy, how are you doing? I'm doing well, Jennifer. It's not Troy, but thank you. Solar in the house. Solar, are you back in Georgia, man? Sonny Slaughter, Johnny Vela, Jason Turner, all in the house. Again, I'll be with you in a moment. And so Troy Aikman actually said something that I think is sort of interesting from a standpoint of it's kind of, I think, how most people now feel about the Cowboys. Like, what Troy Aikman has said over the last couple of weeks gives you a pretty good indication of how everybody feels about the Cowboys, is, I guess, the best way to say it. But you might just be hearing my voice right now, not seeing me. That's on purpose. I'll be with you in a moment. But first, I need to hit the share button and all that great stuff. So, but yeah, I am Ari Temkin. You can catch me on the Dallas Cowboys pre- and post-game show on 105.3 The Fan. And you can always catch me streaming every day right here at noon Central on Phantom, where we put you at the center the Dallas sports discussion. All right, let me just... There's a smaller chicken now, and the chicken can go over there, and the chicken looks amazing. Let's see here. Roderick Matthews in the house, Michael Lafferty, Chris Bennett, Ryan England, Joe Tranchina, G. Garcia, Sean Moore, Marvin Hargrove, Chris Bennett. What up, guys? What up, everybody? Guys and gals, Yolanda Urias in the house. Patrick Prescott. Jennifer Munholland says, I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana, an hour from the hometown of Dak Prescott. And not too far from Dallas, Texas. Shreveport, Louisiana. Thomas Carpenter says, hello, Ari, from upstate New York. Thomas, how are you, sir? Daniel Griffith says, good morning, Ari. And by the way, the good news, there's Pollo Campero in many of these places in which you all reside. Now, of course, they've got multiple locations in Dallas, but Austin, San Antonio, Houston, Arkansas, California, Florida. Just hit the link in the description, and if there's a Pollo Campero by you, you'll be able to find it. Just click the link in the description and go enjoy this wonderful chicken that you see beside me as part of Pollo Campero's takeover of Showtime right here on Phantom, and we are putting you the center of the Dallas sports discussion. All right, Sean Moore says, what is that, salad? Looks like coleslaw. Antonio Leyva Jr. says hello on the Dallas Cowboys Report page. Shout out to the Dallas Cowboys Report. Shout out to Houston Cowboys, the Houston Cowboys page, and Corey Miller, the admin of the Houston Cowboys page. And again, make sure if you don't already, go like all of these pages we're broadcasting across of, all partners of ours here at Phantom, all great groups with great content and great Cowboys coverage, including, yours truly. Daniel Cruz says, what up from Lake Jackson? What up, Daniel Cruz? How are you? Christopher Coons says, Spring, Texas. James Willis says, are you wearing Rangers gear or Giants gear? Well, I am definitely not wearing Giants gear. Who wants to take a guess as to what I'm wearing? I'll give you a clue. Actually, no, I won't. You have to guess the gear that I'm wearing right now. I think some people will know, but not everybody will. But we can go ahead and have a guessing game here. Houghton, Louisiana, Waco, Texas in the house. Dennis Murray says, who cares? They'll get stomped in the playoffs. It's the kind of optimism I like. Lyndon Johnston says, Canada loves the boys too and their North America's team. Are you Canadian, Lyndon Johnston? Ryan England says, KU. That's right. Chris Bennett says, Rock Chalk. Yeah, I'm repping my university, the University of Kansas. So there you go. Definitely not the Giants, though. Definitely not the Giants. Brian Walker says Kansas gear. Christopher Kuhn says Texas Rangers. Close. We could go with Rangers if you'd like, but no, this is Spider-Man hoodie. Well, now I'm disappointed in myself. Henry Munoz says Jayhawks. Danny Easley says Boomer Sooner going to get that W. Yeah, Kansas and Oklahoma played football on Saturday. In case you're wondering, Oklahoma's won 13 straight. I know, I can't believe it's that few. And they have won those 13 straight by an average of 30 points. And my guess is Saturday's game will go a little bit worse than that. But we'll get you in basketball there, Boomer Sooner. Marvin Hargrove says Cubs gear. Absolutely, categorically not. I did grow up in Chicago, but I hate the Cubs. I'm a White Sox fan. So definitely not. Definitely not. Yeah, and R.I.P. Stan Lee, Sean Moore. Somebody brought up Spider-Man. I should have worn Spider-Man. And at any rate, I didn't. But we're not here to talk Cubs, White Sox, Rangers, Spider-Man, Giants. We actually kind of are here to talk Giants. Kansas. Keith Jones says, why are you so bundled up? Your heater go out? It's cold. I'm frigid. It's like below 30 here in Dallas. And it's cold. Here's the thing. The office that I do this show from, my office, my studio here in the house, it is in the summertime 1,000,000 degrees, and here in the wintertime, apparently it's freezing. So it is, whatever it is outside is what this studio is going to be. So that's just what it is. Joe Tranchina says, how cold is it in Texas? I don't know what the conversion would be. We're backwards, I guess, in America. We're the only people that are not in the metric system, but it's like 20, 30 degrees here. It's less than freezing here, which is damn cold. David Alejandre says 43 in San Antonio. I wish it were 43. It's in the 30s here. Michael Tipton says, aren't you from Chicago? Yes, but I live in Texas now, so I don't have to deal with the Chicago cold. Like, that's why I live here. I live here so I don't have to deal with 25 degrees. I'm very unhappy when I have to deal with cold. Patrick Kahn in the house, what up? Joe Deasy, Neil Favre. All right, everybody hit share. I've got to do that too, so bear with me as I share this. And I will do that right now. And then we'll get into... Okay, so first off, answer the question, who wins the NFC East? Thumbs up for Cowboys, heart emoji for Redskins, and laughing emoji for Eagles, which I agree is also a laughing matter. Looks a little weird the way I've kind of put this all up. At any rate, 20 in snow in Michigan. But you expect that, Mike. We don't expect 20 in Dallas. We don't. We don't want it. It's why I moved away from the cold. I remember one time, it was winter, and I was de-icing my car. I was scraping the ice off and putting my car, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm moving down south where it's not ever cold. And here I am in the cold. 72 in Arizona today. Brian Walker. I guess I moved to the wrong place. I should have moved to Arizona. I moved to Texas. No, I'm just kidding. I love Texas. It's the best. Except for this winter weather that we're getting. That's not that good. All right. Charlie Liggett says, hi, I'm new to your stream. Well, nice to meet you, Charlie. I'm Ari Temkin. I do the Dallas Cowboys pre-post game show on 105 through the Fan, and every day at 12 o'clock I talk Cowboys with you and everybody else. And I actually got a really cool message today from Michael Lafferty, who said that he really likes my show, and then brought up what I think is really important. And Christopher, to give you kind of an idea, a concept of what the show is, this is a Cowboys community. This is a live, interactive Cowboys community. That's what we're doing here. We are interacting. We are discussing. We are complaining. We are excited. We're doing all the different things that you do amongst Cowboys fans. We're just doing that in hopefully a larger scale with lots and lots of Cowboys fans. So if this is your first time, welcome. And hopefully you will become a staple and a part of this, a thriving member of this community, of this family. And hopefully you will share this and tag friends of yours in this, and because that's how we grow. That's how we get more and more members of this community. So please do that, and it's nice to have you, Christopher Liggett, and hopefully you'll be back. Curtis Starks, he knows what I'm talking about. Keith Price, Sonny Slaughter, Eric Sharp, Brian Walker, Mike Wellman. These are all guys that are part of the community that are here each and every day, and so we get to know each other. And then last week when I tried to talk about the lizard in my house, somebody got mad. And then, so I lashed out against them. At any rate, so, sorry. Lost my train of thought. So Troy Aikman was on KTCK today, a radio station here in Dallas, KTCK. And he said, he was asked who he thought would win the division. And he said the Cowboys, which you might find funny insofar as Troy Aikman last week on KTCK said that he thought that the Cowboys needed to basically blow it up and start over. Which, if we're being fair, is most of us. Like, that's us, right? Except for Solar. He's never down. He's always up, and that's cool. Tyson, West Coast Cowboy in the house. He says, West Coast of the building. Got a few of my scouts in here. Nice. Appreciate you, brother. Eric Kashani, is it cold in there? Guilty of being a scout in here, or a Scot, or a scout. But yes, it's cold. I'm freezing. So today, Troy Aikman says he thinks the Cowboys will win the division. He's picking them. He's saying if he had to pick a team out of the Redskins, Cowboys, Eagles to win the division, he'd pick the Cowboys. This is a week removed from him saying that he thought the Cowboys should blow it up. And that's everybody. That's everybody. And that's, it's funny that Aikman would, in a week, flip-flop that hard, but it's, man, it really, one win did completely change the narrative on this football team. And, you can sort of contrast that with the way in which the narrative of another football team the Cowboys are going to play on Sunday changed completely in a week. And Solar could speak to that team too. That's the Atlanta Falcons. The Cowboys are going to play the Falcons on Sunday in Atlanta. The Falcons had won 3 straight. They were a bad defense that was struggling through the first quarter of the season. Then they won 3 straight, and then they lost to the Browns. And now, in a week, where everything in Atlanta was like looking good and looking up, like they're right in the wild card race, 1 week later they lose to the Browns, and they're the exact opposite of where the Cowboys are today. And it shows sort of the dramatic and drastic shifts week to week in the National Football League. And Robert Ninja Nut says those are Giants colors, Ari. The red and blue are like millions of teams have this color. This is for my Jayhawks. So my apologies if you think I'm talking about the Giants, but literally like hundreds of teams have these as their colors. They're not very unique colors. Here, how about if I did this? Maybe that would help. Then everybody would know that this is not a Giant. There you go. There's the logo, the beak. Now we know. We're Giants free on this show. Always Giants free all the time. Whoop, whoop. Dorrance Armstrong. Rock Chalk. There you go. Neil Favre wants to know if they flexed this game. No. They would have already done it. They actually flexed. The Bears are flexed with the Vikings. So they already flexed this game from whatever it was to Bears-Vikings this week. So they'll make the decision by the end of this week, I believe, which game will be flexed next week. So that's not an in-week decision. It's a prior week decision. Sean Moore says, I'm not shading Aikman. He's right about most things. And that's my point in bringing up Aikman, is to not throw shade at Aikman. It's rather to be like, that's all of us. Where a week ago, we were all saying, fire Garrett, fire Linehan. This team has no shot. They're terrible. Blow this thing up. And then a week later, it's like, yeah, they could win the division now. And they could very much win this division. Now, here's what's important to know. Whether they win or lose this division it'll be decided in the next 10 days. That's a scary thought, but that's the truth here, right? Because in the next 3 games, they're going to play Atlanta on Sunday, the Redskins on Thanksgiving, and the Saints the following Thursday. They've got to go 2-0 in the next 10 days to have any shot to win the division. In fact, if they do go 2-0 in their next 2 games, Sunday in Atlanta, and then beating the Redskins on Thanksgiving, they'll probably win the division. Tyson West Coast Cowboys says, Cowboys still need to blow it up. Probably. I mean, I still can't stand Jason Garrett. I know most of you can't either. So I agree, but I mean, there's that balance between not wanting Garrett here, but also wanting to root for the Dallas Cowboys and see them be successful. So I just think there's optimism now. And obviously we're seeing that optimism in what Troy Aikman said. And again, I think I'm not calling out Troy Aikman and I'm not throwing shade at Aikman. I just think what Aikman said is so perfect because it's all of us. That's the way we all are, kind of like, get rid of everybody, blow it up. This team stinks, to, wow, yeah, this team can still win the division. However, they obviously, I mean, the thing is, this is like, whether or not they can win the division is going to play itself out over the next 10 days. And that's a scary reality because, I'll put it this way, they lose to the Redskins, they're not going to win the division. You're already 2 behind them with a loss. So if you get swept by the Redskins, you could pretty much give them the NFC East title on Thanksgiving. So the Cowboys are in really good position to win this division. If they beat Atlanta and then win on Thanksgiving, they're in okay position to win the division. If they lose to Atlanta and then win on Thanksgiving, they're not winning the division if they beat Atlanta and lose to Washington on Thanksgiving, or lose to Atlanta and lose to the Washington Redskins on Thanksgiving. The common denominator there is that Thanksgiving game a week from Thursday. So 2 games, 10 days, and that's going to basically decide the season for the Dallas Cowboys. If they split, it won't be as decisive. I'm talking about Atlanta and Washington, but the game they obviously have to win is the Washington game because they're already 2 back of them, and if they get swept by them, it's over. On the Dallas Cowboys, or the Cowboys Nation page, Baltimore in the house says, hello, Jason Garrett isn't in the clear just because we won 1 game. We will beat the Deadskins. I hope that wasn't how I came off. I certainly wasn't. I wasn't trying to indicate that Jason Garrett was in the clear. I don't think he's in the clear. I've said all year, if they don't make the playoffs, he's going to lose his job. And I think it is that binary, that simple. He'll lose his job if the Cowboys miss the playoffs. But I was just sort of bringing up how amazingly drastic things change within a week. And if you look at Atlanta, you look at the Cowboys, I mean, it's 180 degrees for both these teams where they were last week. Jamie Tovar says, my Cowboys are the worst coached team. I agree with Troy. The worst coached team in Dallas, in the NFL, in the NFC East. I mean, they're a poorly coached team. They're not the worst coached team. And look, I said this, I'm not a big Jason Garrett fan. I never have been. I've often criticized him. I'd be happy for them to fire Jason Garrett. But Jason Garrett is a really good motivator as a coach. It's the number one thing he's good at. It might be the only thing he's good at. This team never quits on him. That's what the Eagles game told me, because that was prime quitting time game for them, and they didn't. They had their coaches back, and they had their coaches back in the Jacksonville game when the same situation presented itself, where they were on the verge of losing the locker room. That is coaching. Whether you like Jason Garrett or not, you have to acknowledge that the ability to motivate your team and not have them quit on you is good coaching. It's not great coaching. It's not enough to keep your job after 9 seasons of this, but it is good coaching. So to say that this is the worst coach team in the NFL, I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably Oakland, and if it's not Oakland, it's Cleveland. If it's not Cleveland, it's somebody else. And they're not a great coach team, but they're probably somewhere bottom 10 in the league, I'd imagine. Let's see here. What else do we got? And I also, Troy Aikman's comments are what I want to get to. I also want to get to the move that could have saved Jason Garrett's job. Dun, dun, dun. Which I'll do in a moment here. But doesn't this chicken look good? I'm pointing the wrong way because it's there. Doesn't this chicken look good? Pollo Campero. Locations all throughout Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Arkansas, California, Florida, and many other great states. To find the location nearest you for Pollo Campero, click the link in the description and you can find a location for you. That, my friends, is a delicious piece of chicken. I know from experience. I'm going to be eating chicken on the show tomorrow. And then, of course, we're going to do free Chicken Fridays on this show. Every Friday, we're going to be giving away a family 8-piece chicken from Pollo Campero. So make sure to be listening and watching for your chance to win on free Chicken Fridays. Because, look, When people get free chicken and it's Friday, everybody wins. Warren Merle says, who's going to motivate Garrett? I'll get back to you on that. Dakota Stiegel says, today's mine. My fiance's 2-year anniversary. May not be long to you guys, but remember, I'm only 21. Hey, congrats, man. When are you getting married? Congratulations to Dakota Stiegel. By the way, when you get married, it starts over. Because my wife and I have been married for 5 years, but together for a lot longer than that. Spike Scott says, I don't know if that is coaching. Barry Switzer is just terrible. I remember Michael Irvin saying they coach themselves. The players still have pride. I believe it was the players, not the coach. I mean, sure, but we saw this team quit on Wade Phillips. Not this exact team, but in 2010, the team quit on Wade Phillips. So, to me, I'm willing to put stock in how. Well, first of all, I mean, Jason Garrett is a good motivator. Whether or not his team quits on him, and that's being a part of motivation, that's either here nor there. To me, it's the only thing he's good at. That and probably designing offense and maybe calling plays, but we wouldn't really know the latter because he hasn't done it in a long time. But I'm not a Garrett fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I am willing to give Garrett credit for his ability to motivate the team, and then in addition to that, the team not quitting on him, which, I mean, it's not the greatest, like, oh, he's a good coach. The team never quit on him, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's a good coach. I'm just simply saying, like, on his tombstone of NFL coaching, it'll say, team never quit on him. Sonny Slaughter says, how long will DC stay? He's getting old. You're talking about Chris Richard? I don't know. He's not that old. DC. Sean Moore says, Pollo Campero reminds me of that chicken joint in Breaking Bad. It's not. Los Pollos Hermanos? That's the Chicken Brothers. This is the Chicken Camper, if I'm properly translating Spanish to English here. Rod Marinelli. Oh, yeah. He is the defensive coordinator. I forgot. Not much longer. I mean, he's with the team this year, but Chris Richard's basically the defensive coordinator. All right, let's see here. The team also quit on Barry Switzer in 1997. Good point. From Marvin Hargrove. How about America's Fans? Is that another page? Just trying to scroll through all the pages we're broadcasting on. But everybody hit the share button if you've not yet already. I'm Ari Temkin. Rod Marinelli. I mean, Rod, perhaps this will be the last year that he's with this team because they could very well have a new coaching staff. I mean, look, again, I'll maintain that I believe that that Jason Garrett's going to lose his job if the Cowboys don't make the playoffs, and I still think there's kind of a long shot here the Cowboys make the playoffs. Now, it's not entirely unlikely. It could very well happen. The Cowboys make the playoffs, but I mean, we're going to know in the next 10 days. Either we're going to know yes, no, or maybe. But there's a good chance we'll know the yes or the no. Because if they beat the Redskins, then it's a yes or maybe. If they lose the Redskins, it's a definite no. That's the best way to say it. They're not going to get swept by the Redskins, be basically 3 games then behind them in the loss column, and win the division with 7 to play or whatever it is. And by the way, they play the Redskins on Thanksgiving and then the New Orleans Saints the following Thursday. Freddie Ott says, ready to shock the world. All right. America's Fan Silver and Blue Club. Shout out to the America's Fan Silver and Blue Club page. Sure. I mean, I think the Falcons have the same record as the Cowboys, so I don't know how much of a shock to the world it would be, but I get it. Keith Jones says, keep Marinelli's defensive line coach. He's great there. Sure. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it could be that Marinelli retires. Who knows what they'll do if they bring in a new coaching staff. They're going to want to hire their own defensive coordinator. We'll see. Okay, so Troy Aikman's comments, again, this week he thinks the Cowboys are in the best position of these 3 teams to win the division. This is a week after he said the Cowboys need to blow it up and start over. I'm not calling out Troy Aikman. I'm simply saying Troy Aikman is all of us. Troy Aikman is every single one of us because we were shocked, except for Solar. The Cowboys, Anthony Donaldson was not shocked. He always picks the Cowboys, always reps the star, as he would say. And so, I think, again, we all were shocked that the Cowboys beat the Eagles. And the Eagles look to be trending up, Cowboys look to be trending down, and then this happens. What I said after the game, and I think that this is important, is this win against the Eagles seemed significantly more sustainable. And what I mean by that is, some of the other wins they've had over the course of the season, they kind of look like fool's gold. But yet this win, the one against the Eagles, looked like something that can be duplicated. It looked like something that would translate for them, quite frankly. And I think a lot of that has to do with Amari Cooper. A lot of that has to do with their offensive line play. And probably even more of that has to do with their ability to overcome mistakes. In previous losses this year, the close ones especially, Washington, Carolina, Seattle, there were three or four plays you can sort of pinpoint and think, oh, they couldn't overcome that. They couldn't overcome this. They couldn't overcome that. And that was what undid them in all of those games. This game had multiple instances of that happening, and yet they still overcame it and won the football game. They had multiple instances within this game that would have undone them in previous games, that did undo them in previous games. Those are the sort of the components to me that you can kind of put together that say, this is a different win than the wins they've had the rest of the season. Jason Turner, yeah, that was a 2016 type win. It was. Because Zeke Elliott had a dynamic game, 151 yards rushing, 36 yards through the air. Dak Prescott spread the ball around, but it was clear who the number one receiver was and how important he was for that success. So yeah, this certainly would be a 2016 type win. Keith Price says, who would you pick to replace Linehan? Well, that's a tough question because in season, if they're going to fire Scott Linehan, which they could certainly still do, it'd be Jason Garrett to call plays. If they do this out of season, my guess is they're not going to fire Linehan, but rather they're going to fire Jason Garrett, and therefore they're bringing in an entirely new offensive and defensive staff. So I suppose the answer to your question is Lincoln Riley, but not as an OC but as the head coach. Ty Shelton says, nice hat. Thank you. Cowboys win the division, but it remains to be seen if that will even get them into the playoffs. Teams have won the division before and not made the playoffs. That's not true, Ty. You get an automatic bid to the playoffs if you win your division, as a matter of fact. So we've seen teams win 10 games and not make the playoffs, but you win your division, you get in. Now, we can have an argument whether or not that should be the case. I've always been of the belief that a division victory shouldn't get you in. I think you just take the teams with the most wins. Who cares what division they come from? Because you're at a major disadvantage if you're in a good division and a major advantage when you're in a bad division because you get more games against bad teams. You have to win less games against worse teams to win an easy division. To win a hard division, you have to play more games against more teams and win more of those games. More games against more good teams and win most of those games. So I'm not a fan of the current playoff situation. I think, you just take the teams with the most wins, and who cares about winning division? But yeah, you win the division, you get an automatic berth into the playoffs, Ty. Ricky Esprit says something that I want to get into in a little bit, and yes, agreed with you. Is it Esprit, by the way? Esprit? Angela Martinez says, Hola, Ari. Hola, Angela. How are you? Angelina, sorry. I think I've called you Angela before, and my apologies. I can't read. I eat some of that chicken. Well, Sean, there's probably a Pollo Comparo by you. And by probably, I mean, click the link in the description and see if there's one by you. Or just click the link in the description. That would help too. All right. I'm trying to think what else. What else do you guys want to know? I love the coaching change talk. I'm all for it. Let's just push that to the side. So any sort of this, who would be their next OC? who'd be their next DC. Let's at least save that for a loss. Like, if they lose to Atlanta, now we can go down the same path of... This week is an optimistic week, people. We've spent a lot of weeks peddling pessimism, and we've got plenty of time for more pessimism. Pessimism is potentially on the way, but at least for today, for this week, we can keep it 100. We can keep it optimistic. Curtis Stark says we overcame those obstacles because we now have a receiving core to be scared of, and the 8th and 9th man can't stay in the box, thus frees up Zeke and other receivers, and that makes our offense flow as long as Dak does his job protecting the football. Keith Jones says, going to review game film. Thought that was a Tuesday thing. I haven't done my homework yet, Keith. But did I do that? Did I say it was going to become a Tuesday thing? Maybe we can make that a Wednesday thing. I think I did say that's going to be a Tuesday thing. Didn't get a notification for this went live. Odd. Well, you are watching this on the Phantom page, Corey, so you should be getting a notification. And I'm sorry that you're not. But if you are not watching this on Phantom, I urge you to go to the Phantom page, facebook.com/watch Phantom. Make sure to hit the subscribe button for this and other great Cowboys-related content. Bottom line here is I'm broadcasting across multiple channels and platforms and pages at the same time. So the quickest way to have your comments read and heard is by commenting on the feed at facebook.com/watch Phantom. On the Phantom YouTube page, Eel Eagle Alien, Stevie Mack in the house. Eel Eagle Alien says it was a duplication of the Jacksonville game. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. The Jacksonville game was Jacksonville just playing the Cowboys stupidly. They played a man-to-man across the board, and so they got a lot of good matchups with Cole Beasley. And by the way, Jacksonville is not a good football team. Maybe Philadelphia is also not a good football team, but I think the Jacksonville win was probably the least sustainable win of the season for the Cowboys. Let's see here. Stevie Mack says, yeah, I don't know, Eagle Alien. He used to read this chat, but hasn't all week. This lame sauce. Yeah, boner. Oh, hey guys, I read those. Sorry. I will get to this chat as whenever I can. I'm trying to diversify, get everywhere. I cannot be all places at once. I wish I could. It'd be easier if I could, especially to be reading comments across all these different channels and platforms and pages. But shout out to Eel Eagle Alien and Stevie Mac 23 on YouTube, and a couple other people that are watching but not commenting on the YouTube page. Anthony Lovell, John Boughton, and looks like that. John Boughton brings up an important point on the YouTube page. I want to get to this. He says, do you think the Redskins will blow their division lead? They're not really playing well, just other teams shooting themselves in the foot. Man, that's exactly what the Redskins are doing. The Redskins are basically like, we're going to play conservatively and wait for you to make a mistake, and we're going to win doing that. Alex Smith's career is best summed up by the statistic that if you win the turnover battle, you're going to win 80% of the games in the NFL. You win 80% of the time you win the turnover battle. 80% of the time. So that's the Redskins in a nutshell. They win the turnover battle. They win a lot of their games because of it. Look at the Cowboys-Redskins game. The two turnovers, those two turnovers just show me no other stat other than the fact the Cowboys were -2 in the turnover ratio in that game, and I would have told you, well, they're going to lose the game. Because that's what the Redskins do. They play defense, and they're pretty good up front on their defensive front. Alex Smith only squares his body to the sidelines. He never throws upfield. And Adrian Peterson's been good. The running game's been good. So they play defense, they run the football, and they don't turn the ball over. And that's why they're winning the division right now. That's it. It's that simple. I mean, they lost 38-14 to the team the Cowboys are about to play this weekend. And you know why? Because the Falcons didn't turn the ball over. And they scored. The Redskins can't keep up with that because all they do is run power I. So, yeah, I agree completely that the Redskins are... And that's why Troy Aikman said what he said about he thinks the Cowboys can win the division because he's got not as much faith in the Redskins, and I agree. I agree completely. Ty Shelton says, I stand corrected. Sorry, I haven't had my coffee today. It's all good, brother. No worries. It's what we're here for. That and have a good time and maybe laugh at each other and ourselves. That's what we want to do. Joe Tranchina says he wants to know the injury report. Well, the latest on Zach Martin is that it was just a scare. Every indication that came out of the Cowboys locker room yesterday was he'll be fine. Now, he's been dealing with knee soreness, the hyperextended knee all year. He's kept him out of some practices throughout the course of the season. So, he says he's fine. My assumption is he'll play. But, I mean, at this point, Zach Martin's probably 70%. And a 70% Zach Martin is still better than 90% of offensive linemen across the league. Maybe even more. Corey Miller says, I'm going to laugh my ass off if the Cowboys somehow win the division. Honestly, it's like this different Cowboys team shows up every game, drives me nuts. Yeah, no, the only thing they've been is consistently good on defense, and the only exception to that was the Titans game for the most part. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough to know which Cowboys team we're going to get, but I do think part of that consistency should be shored up, and I'll tell you why I think that here in a little bit. Robert Holmes says we need New York to get in the mix too. The Giants? Like the New York Giants? They won last night. If they played San Francisco every game, they'd probably be in better position. Ryan Ariano says, I think the division's weak and up for grabs. Anything can happen once you get to the playoffs. I agree with you there. If you have a good coach, which Jason Garrett's not. So hard to win in the playoffs when you don't have a coach that wants to change or evolve. And just comes with the same mentality from the regular season to the postseason. Postseason and regular season are two different animals. It's the reason that Jason Garrett has won one playoff game in 9 years. Eric Kashani says, people call me crazy, but what's wrong with calling up Mark Sanchez and making him the quarterback coach? He at least won a game and was a big part of Dak's success in his first season. Why do people call you crazy for that? I mean, being honest, there are a lot crazier things that could happen in the world. There are a lot crazier things that could happen for the Cowboys. I've heard a lot of crazy, saying Tony Romo should be the offensive coordinator, significantly more crazy. What I would do with Mark Sanchez is, and I don't even know what his deal is. Does he play? Who's he playing for? I'd bring him in as the backup quarterback. And again, this sort of goes back to when the Cowboys, when Dak Prescott was at his best, Mark Sanchez was there and was sort of a mentor for him. Now, are we putting too much stock into that? Probably. We probably are. But I certainly don't think it's crazy to say that. And I would say don't bring him in as a coach. Just bring him in as the backup quarterback. But the Cowboys like Mike White and Cooper Rush, so that's where we are. Albert Carrizosa says, Tyron looking good, back feeling better, a coach change is helping. It's helping. I don't know. I'd venture a guess that his back's not better, but yeah, no, Tyron played significantly better in the game against the Eagles. He was probably the best offensive lineman, and the thing about the coaching change is, I don't think Tyron, Paul Alexander comes in and says, you should block this way. I don't think Tyron Smith was like, okay, I'll block that way. I don't. Because why would he? He's Tyron Smith. He knows how to block people. So I don't think the coaching change really had any impact on Tyron Smith whatsoever. Could be wrong, but that's just my assumption there. So, yeah, I don't know that his back's better because he's got a bad back. He's going to have a bad back. So, but yeah, if we see that Tyron Smith the rest of the season, the Cowboys are going to be back to having a pretty good offensive line. Danny Easley says Sean Lee's linebacker coach next year would be nice. Yeah, but Ben Bloom, guys, we have to also give credit to Ben Bloom, their linebackers coach, who's joined the staff a long time ago. He basically came over as a defensive assistant when Rob Ryan was the defensive coordinator. And he has worked his way from the bottom rung of the coaching staff to being the linebackers coach. And he's good. I mean, look at how good Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, their linebacking core are playing. At some point, we've got to give some credit to Ben Bloom for it. So I know that everybody loves Sean Lee, and I do too, but Ben Bloom is a hell of a linebackers coach. And has proven that multiple times over with how good their defense has been playing, and specifically their linebackers. Eagle Alien says, we don't try to catch teams off guard like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, Jared Goff, etc. to uniform. We play too ginger-footed offensively. We don't stretch the field enough, use Zeke's speed versus defensive backs. Sure. Okay. I'll take your word for it. I don't know what to do with that. catch teams off guard. Like, they ran a fake punt on 4th and 2 from their own 30-yard line. Is that not catching people off guard? So I don't know. My Cowboys family in the house is what's up, fam. Barely got here in time. Go Cowboys. Yeah, you got here with a little time to spare. But I appreciate you, brother. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that the Cowboys don't try to catch teams off guard. I think they do. I mean, I certainly agree that, the Jason Garrett's schemes leave a lot more to be desired. He is risk averse, though we saw him took more risks in that Philadelphia game, and I hope that that's how he continues to coach. The thing is, like, the Jason Garrett era has been sort of like instances of, oh, that's a nice play call, or that's good design, and it's like, and then we never see it again. And we saw the pick play work a couple of weeks ago, and we made a video about it here on Phantom, and then it was like, where'd the pick play go? That worked. Why'd they stop? So the U says, what up, Ari? What up, the U? So that's where I am on Garrett. I mean, he is a risk-averse head coach, like 90% of the rest of the coaches of the NFL, or 80% of the rest of the coaches of the NFL, but certainly showed a lack of risk aversion or a more willingness to take risks in the game against Philadelphia. And you just hope that, like, he continues to do that, continues to coach like his ability, his life depends on it. Because that's kind of the thing, is we'll see it one game, and then the next game it's the same BS. Washington and Houston. Those are two games where you kind of need your coach to step up and do some things to help you win the game. The Houston, the 4th and 1, not going for it. In the Washington game, same kind of thing, punting. The thing is, though, the Washington game happens after the Houston game, and that happens after Jason Garrett says that he watches film, he learns from the film, and he gets better and improves on it. And the thing is, it's like, but we're not seeing that. We don't see that from the coach. We don't see an evolution from the coach. And we have seen at points throughout his career where you'll see a game like the Philadelphia game, which is the opposite of the Washington-Houston game, right? Like, that's the taking chances. He went for it on a 4th and 1 early in the game. He fake punts on a 4th and 2. They're taking shot, like, they're just doing things that are outside of their comfort zone. They're taking risks. So that's a departure from what we've seen from Jason Garrett as long as he's been the head coach. And, like, I think it's just really important that he continues to do that, because if not, then you're going to see more games like Houston and Washington. Fortune favors the bold, and Jason Garrett coaches like he's not ready to take on a fortune, and he did certainly against Philadelphia, and you hope that that's not the anomaly. But throughout the course of his career as a coach, those games have been the anomaly. That's the one part of this win in Philly that's like, I'm not sure it's as sustainable as I think it is. That's the one thing that has me second-guessing the idea that it's sustainable. Let's see here. Andy Kai says, when will Garrett take play calling back? Has he already? Will he finally start coaching to win games? To the last question, I think I just answered that. Yeah, I hope so. We'll find out on Sunday. And then as for play calling duties, I'm just going to assume it's Scott Linehan until I hear differently. Until I see like a play sheet on the sideline. The play sheet be the dead giveaway. Sean Moore says he really left the door open for the Eagles to tie it up or beat us the other night. Tie it up. And that was the thing, too, is it's like, as much as we want to talk about how great the play calling was, and it was at times, play calling is not always great. And yeah, I mean, the play calling in that final possession where they got the ball back with a minute left was really bad. I mean, just was not good. They lost 5 yards. And as Sean Moore said, put their team in position to maybe lose the football game. Michael Lafferty says, it's like Linehan brought Kellen Moore in on Bring Your Kid to Work Day. Danny Easley, scared money don't make no money. True. Ricky Esprit says, Dak's holding the ball much too long, well over 3 seconds. Also, he needs to not have tunnel vision and be able to scope the field much better. He's missing wide open receivers. True. But, like, I think that's development. The ability to go through a full progression, read the field, like that takes time to develop. Now, he might be slow in that development, and that's a question the Cowboys need answers for. But, yeah, I agree. My Cowboys family on YouTube says, Ari, do you think that Garrett had a little more impact the calls this game because the end of the third quarter, the offense looked different? No, I don't think he had any more input this past week than he's had over the course of the season. Like, he's got input in how the offense goes. The play calling, though, is Scott Linehan. He's doing it from upstairs, and that's been the thing that we've sort of questioned. But no, I mean, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think there was a difference in anything they did offensively. I mean, I think it was the same thing. The offense wasn't the same thing. What I'll say is I think it's the same setup where you've got Garrett and Linehan working out throughout the week. The U says Amari Cooper's making this team better, and the left guard, if we can put together a nice game, watch out. That's Xavier Suafilo. Yeah. However, I still think they've got to go back to Connor Williams. And I think that's because I think people are overplaying how bad Connor Williams has been this year. I think he's had a couple of bad snaps, but it hasn't been that bad overall, and you're developing Connor Williams. And so you sit him on the bench, you're stunting his development. And that's also not I don't care about developing players, I care about winning football games. I get that, but I'm also not convinced that Xavier Suafilo is that guy. More so than Connor Williams. So I guess I can now get to my Pollo Comparo incomparable. Let me start that over. Here's Pollo Comparo. Go check it out. Look at that amazingly delicious chicken. I'll be eating that tomorrow on the show. I'm really excited about it. Now it's time for me to get to my Pollo Comparo. Now I can't say it with a straight face. Try saying Pollo Comparo incomparable 3 times. Now it's time to get to my Pollo Comparo incomparable. My Pollo Comparo incomparable. My Pollo Comparable incomparable stat or point of the day. Woo! Easy for me to say. Amari Cooper could have saved Jason Garrett's job. We knew when the Cowboys traded a first-round pick for Amari Cooper that it would have a dramatic impact on the offense overall. And now we've seen it in just 2 games. But his ability to create separation, his ability to get open, and then his ability to then command extra attention on the outside has opened up a ton for Cole Beasley, for Michael Gallup, for Allen Hurns, and for Zeke Elliott. We knew when the Cowboys traded for Amari Cooper that in principle, having a legitimate number 1 would make the rest of their 2s and 3s on the roster that much better because they'd be in position to be just that, 2s and 3s. And now we've seen it in just 2 short weeks. That's the number 1 reason why I have confidence in this team to show more consistency here, because they have reason for optimism. There wasn't any hocus-pocus magic on the offensive side of the football. They took some risks, but ultimately they now have the ability to have defenses have to keep them honest because of what Amari Cooper can do on the outside. Does that mean they're going to score 40 points a game and win every game because their offense is going to be great? No, it doesn't. But it means that what they did against the Eagles is more sustainable on offense because of what Amari Cooper brings to the offense. And there's a lot of luck involved in how they were able to get Amari Cooper. And that's the thing that's really important here. The fact that they were able to get a guy like Amari Cooper at the trade deadline is pure luck. Because guys like that shouldn't be available. Guys like that should not be available for just a first-round pick. I'm talking about 24-year-old, legitimate, really good talent that have been to Pro Bowls before, that are maybe having a couple of down years, but that's probably more indicative of the offense they're in and the schemes they're trying to run than anything else. Those guys aren't available. Guys that are available usually in the trade market are Golden Tate or Demaryius Thomas, guys that aren't offense-changing type guys. Usually those guys aren't available. Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper should not be available in season via trade. But because the Raiders is such a hot mess, because John Gruden got a 10-year contract, and so therefore he's got to sell long-term optimism to the fan base, he's got to make moves that sell off their best talent to get first-round lottery tickets. And that's great luck by the Dallas Cowboys. It was complete and utter luck that a guy like Amari Cooper would even be available. And the Cowboys, I'm not going to say they got a steal, because giving up a first-round draft pick is a lot to give up, especially when you look at how good the Cowboys have been at drafting in the first round. But they said when they traded for him, they felt like this was them using their first-round pick on Amari Cooper. But they get a guy that's already experienced and has the knowledge of how to win and win today and helps them today. And aside from the obvious difference in salary that's going to be implemented probably next year, this trade has been a home run already. And that doesn't even take into account the actual production that Amari Cooper has put on the table. But yeah, Corey Miller says that was the best part of the show, me screwing up or the Amari Cooper point. Please be the Amari Cooper point, not me screwing up. But I know what you're saying, and I agree. What's everybody saying on YouTube? Ari, do you think that the reports are true that the front office and Garrett wanting to fire Linehan before the season and in the bye week? I'll say this: I know that the Cowboys did think about firing Linehan in season. I don't know how many times they've done it. I don't know if it happened before season and then at the bye week. I do know though the Cowboys during the season have had conversations about firing Scott Linehan. And my Cowboys family says a 24-year-old two-time Pro Bowler with 2,000-yard receiving season. Damn good rookie for us, getting him 6 months early. Agreed there. Without having to go through the growing pains that Michael Gallup is now going through as a rookie wide receiver. And Curtis Stark says Amari runs the hell out of routes. That's it. And that's more important than anything else. Like, that's because he creates so much separation, he commands extra attention. You know, sometimes guys are just that good and they command extra attention, but the ability to get open, meaning you've got to always account for him because you can always throw him the football, that commands extra attention. Third down. So 10 of Amari Cooper's 11 total receptions to the Cowboys have gone for first downs. Now, not all of them have been on third down, but he seems to be a focal point on third down. Well, defenses are going to adjust to that. So what does that mean? Now, all of a sudden, Cole Beasley, which, remember everybody, when Dez Bryant was here, Cole Beasley was the third down guy because the extra attention that Dez commands on third down. The same thing will happen with Cooper eventually, where defenses are going to look at what he's doing on third down, the production he's having on third down, and they're going to say, we got to take him away. And then that's where they beat you with Cole Beasley, because Cole Beasley is so underrated and so good, but he needed a legitimate number one because he's a complimentary guy. He's not a legitimate number one. And Allen Hurns, too. Like, I was the guy that said they should cut Allen Hurns after they made the trade for Amari Cooper. But, man, he's proven to be pretty good and reliable and not as a number one. That's the thing, is they miscast all these guys by saying, we've got a bunch of number ones, and that's how we're going to play this thing. They were wrong, clearly, and they fixed it. But anytime the Cowboys ever again say, we don't need a legitimate number one, laugh at them and then say, you're wrong. You've already proven to be wrong. Don't do this again. But now what it's done is it's made all these guys that look like they were bad, inadequate receivers look better, look like decent receivers. And that's I think, that's why I think Amari Cooper may have very well saved Jason Garrett's job, which you all might be thinking, oh God, no, how did we let this happen? And I kind of agree with you, but perhaps then best case scenario is the Cowboys fight till the end and then miss out on the playoffs the last game of the regular season, and then you will all be happy because Jason Garrett will be fired. Myself included. But the thing I think is most important is guys like Amari Cooper aren't available normally. They shouldn't be available. And most times they're not available for just one first-round pick. Sean Moore says, Garrett isn't going anywhere. Jerry says he has magic lips. Ew. And the U says it elevated everyone a level. Yeah. And by the way, we knew that coming in because that's what having a legitimate number one will do. But we've now seen it on the field. Dave Beeler says, see lots of deep bombs, touchdown passes from Dak to 19 in the near future. Well, Dak missed one on Sunday night. He had him wide open, and he missed him. And that's why, they overcame some of those things. Like in previous weeks against Carolina, they missed that throw, and they're not overcoming that. Against a few of these other teams, they missed that throw, they're not overcoming that. And I think that's the thing, is there were multiple instances within this game where There are things that they couldn't overcome previous weeks that they overcame this week. All right, well, we got a few more minutes. I'm open for questions. We can start to look ahead to Atlanta, too. By the way, last week we talked about Jason Peters and Jason Kelsey calling out Cowboys fans for being fair weather fans. So I posted a video in relation to that on the Phantom page, so go check it out. But it shows who the true fair weather fans are. Hint, it's Eagles fans who were booing their team at halftime. Booing. Jason Peters and Jason Kelsey called Cowboys fans fair weather, and then literally in the game during halftime, the Eagles fans proved that they're fair weather fans by booing their freaking team at halftime. Sean Moore says, Ari, what's up with Maher? That's a good question, but I mean, Maher's actually in better position than a lot of other kickers throughout the league. I mean, Cody Parkey, the Bears kicker, is still having a job, and he missed 4 kicks on Sunday. He went 0 for 2 from field goal, 0 for 2 in extra points. So the good news is he's not that bad, but yeah, that's becoming problematic, obviously, for the Cowboys because he's now missed at least 1 kick in 3 straight games. And he's missed at least 1 kick in 4 games this season. So that's not reliable. I don't know if we've reached tryout new kicker level yet, but we might be getting there. My Cowboys family says he went 4 for 4 and hitting the goalpost. Yeah, Cody Parkey, that was crazy. Jeff L says our linebackers is the real deal. Yes, they are. Marvin Hargrove, Maher is better from long distance than mid-range. That's not good. Chris Tinsley says should have kept Bailey. Bailey's not 100% of the year either, guys. News and David Irving from Patrick Prescott. The latest that we heard on Irving was between 2 and 4 weeks. This would be week 2, so I would say he's definitely out this week, and that maybe we can look at him potentially coming back after the Thanksgiving game. I mean, it's hard for me to believe he won't be available to play this week, but then he'd be available for Thursday night against Washington. So maybe the Saints a week from Thursday, 2 weeks from Thursday. Maybe the Saints 2 weeks from Thursday. All right, everybody. Any news on Tavon Austin? If Tavon Austin will be available to play at all this season, it'll be the last quarter of the season. Because he's on short-term IR. So, and Dakota Stiegel, as he points out, wouldn't be so bad if they score touchdowns instead of field goals. Agreed. That's Jason Garrett special right there, kicking 3 and clapping about it. All right, everybody. Thank you all for being a part of today's show. I'm Ari Temkin. You can catch me on the Dallas Cowboys pre- and post-game show on 105.3 The Fan. You can also catch me on Sirius XM Big 12 Radio every single morning on the Big 12 Network. That's channel 375. I'm on from 7 to 10. Then, of course, streaming live to you in color every day, 12 o'clock noon. Everybody go eat some Pollo Campero and then tell me about it tomorrow. And a shout out to all of you members of the community, the Cowboys Showtime community at large. Thank you, Curtis Starks and Andy Kiast and Michael Lafferty and Joe Tranchina and Corey Miller and Brian Hernandez and Sean Moore and Eric Koscielny and Dakota Stiegel and Marvin Hargrove and David Alejandre and Neil Falver and Joe Tranchina and my Cowboys family and the U and Jason Turner and Patrick Prescott and Brian Walker and many more who I've missed. And I apologize if I've missed your name, but you guys all make this, Ty Shelton, you guys make this community what it is. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you for being a part of this community. I truly and utterly mean that. This is a community. We're all a part of this community, and I'm so thankful to have you all part of this community each and every day right here as we spread the gospel 12 noon every single day on Phantom, putting you at the center of the Dallas sports discussion. But for now, everybody, I am out. Peace.